Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 2, Text 20. न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचिन्
म्रियते वा कदाचिन्
नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः
नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः
अजो नित्य शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो
अजो नित्य शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो
न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे.
न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे.
Translation. For the soul, there is neither birth nor death at any time. He is not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. Before going into the details of this verse, I wanted to give you a background of why I chose this verse. There are two reasons. So, the main problem with the current civilization is that everyone identifies themselves as the body. If we ask them who they are, they would say something like, I'm an Indian, I'm an American, I'm a boy, I'm a girl, I'm a doctor, or I'm an engineer, etc. But nobody thinks or wants to learn about the soul. That is why I thought to take this opportunity to talk about the soul, and to do that, I went to chapter 2 because it is a summary of the entire Bhagavad Gita. And in chapter 2, verses 17 to 30, it describes the various characteristics of the soul. In this slide, I have tried to briefly list the main characteristics of the soul. And to do that, I went to Bhagavad Gita and Brahma Samhita and the Upanishad. So, number 1, the soul is indestructible. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 23 states, the soul can never be cut to pieces by any weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by the wind. What Krishna means by this is that the soul is indestructible, meaning that the soul cannot be destroyed. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 12 states, Number 2, the soul is indivisible. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 12 states, never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of you cease to be. In this verse, it talks about two things. Number 1, that the soul is ever existing, meaning that the soul was always there. The soul was there in the past, and it will be there in the future. And number 2, that our souls are individual, meaning that my soul and your soul are two different souls, and they will never merge. Number 3, the soul does not change. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 20 states, for the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. This is the verse that I have chosen to explain, so I will explain it in the next slide. Number 4, Satchidananda. Brahma Samhita, chapter 5, text 1 states, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchid Ananda Vigraha Nadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. In this verse, it describes the soul as Satchidananda, which is 3 words. Sat, meaning eternal, Chit, meaning conscious, and Ananda, meaning blissful. Number 5. The soul is situated in the region of the heart. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, text 61 states, the Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities. What Krishna is saying here is that there's not just our spirit soul that is situated in the region of the heart, but also the Supreme Lord. To be more specific, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. So our soul, which is the spirit soul, is Atma, and the Supreme Lord, or Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, is Paramatma. Number 6, the soul changes bodies. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 22 states, as a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones. What Krishna says here is that when our bodies become old and they die, from our past karma and desires, we will be given a new body. An example of this is that if a man eats lots of meat, then in his next life he may be given the birth of the body of a tiger. Or if a man sleeps a lot, then maybe in his next life he will be given the body of a bear. Number 7. The soul is infinitesimally small. Shvetashvatara Upanishad, chapter 5, text 9 states, the size of the soul is 1 by 10,000th the size of the tip of the hair. What Krishna means here is that if you take the tip of a strand of hair and cut that into 10,000 pieces, one of those 10,000 pieces is the size of the soul. But also, it is trying to say that that the size of the soul is very small, and even with one of the most advanced microscopes, you cannot see it. Number 8. The soul is inconceivable. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 25 states, it is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. In this verse, it talks about 3 new characteristics of the soul. Number 1, that the soul is invisible. Because the soul is so small that people cannot see it, that's why they consider it invisible. And number 2, the soul is inconceivable, but which means that because the soul is so small and people cannot see it, that people tend to believe that the soul is not there, and that's why they think it's inconceivable or unbelievable. And number 3, the soul is immutable, meaning that the soul does not change, which is also part of the verse that I chose that we'll be explaining in the next verse. So below I've listed down the most important parts of the purport, and we'll expand on them while explaining about the verse. So I will restate the translation and in case anyone missed it. For the soul, there is neither birth nor death at any time. He is not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever-existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. So to understand this verse, you must understand that the soul and the body are different. And the best way to understand that is to compare the characteristics of the soul and the characteristics of the body. An example of this is that the soul can never be destroyed, but the body can be. And another example is that the body undergoes 6 kinds of transformation. It takes birth from the womb of the mother's body, remains for some time, grows, produces some effects, gradually dwindles, and at last vanishes into oblivion. But the soul does not go through any of these changes. Also, the changes of the body do not affect the soul. An example of this is that if an old man sees pictures of himself as a baby, he can immediately identify that he is the picture of the baby, though they do not look anything similar. But that's because the body has changed during that time, but the soul does not change. Also, people may argue that how do you even know that there even is the soul? Because you cannot see it, feel it, or hear it. So the symptoms of the soul is chaitana, or consciousness. And the best way to understand that is to compare the living body to a dead body. The living body has the living body. There is the soul present, and it is conscious. But when a body is dying, the soul is leaving the body, and it is not conscious, which means that the soul is giving the body consciousness. And that is how you can identify that there is the soul in a body. And just to restate, there are actually 2 souls in your body, Atma and Paramatma. Atma is our own spirit soul, and Paramatma is Shiradakshai Vishnu, or the Supreme Lord. Conclusion, we need to understand that we are not this material body and that we are the spirit soul. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Very nicely done. So any questions for the presenter? Sahana? Okay. So please put your scores in the chat window on a scale of 1 to 10. What should she get? Don't take too much time. Just put in a number on a scale of 1 to 10. Very good. Very good. I would actually give her a 10.5 on 10. Good job, Sahana. You prepared well. You spoke nicely, but I think you should slow down a little bit. You are going like a machine gun, very, very fast. So you have to slow down so that people can understand what is being said, because you know this subject. A newcomer may not know this subject. They may think, oh, yeah, she said soul 28 times and that's about it. So I don't know what she said. So you'll have to pause for effect around key points, and you say there are two souls in this body. One is the Atma, that is you, and the second is Paramatma, the super soul, or a portion of God is residing in you, like that. Actually, technically, there are more than two souls. Can anybody explain why in your body?
Each cell in the body has its own soul.
Not each cell, but there are many living entities, right? The bacteria and things like that.
Right.
They are all living. So there are basically like 2 trillion living entities in your body. So you are the main soul. And then there is a super soul, Paramatma, but then there are other 2 trillion living entities in your body, bacteria, in the blood, in your stomach, in your intestines, everywhere. Right? But you are the main individual. You are, like, for example, if you abuse your body and drink alcohol, you are killing some of the souls, or rather the living entities with a soul in your intestine. Right? So they'll say, what kind of idiot is this fellow? He's killing us. We are taking shelter of his body, and this fellow is actually killing us. Right? So you have to be very careful with your body, because there are other living entities in your body also. That's a more technical detail, but you get the idea. Very well, nicely done, Sahana. So who wants to go next? Gopal? You can basically, you don't need a PowerPoint. Go to Vedabase, pick a verse, and just talk about it.
I have a small one, Prabhuji, but I don't have that much, but I can try.
Yeah, try whatever you can. Do better than Sahana.
I don't think so, Prabhuji.
Okay, keep going. Okay, get started, Gopal.
Yes, Prabhuji, I'm sharing. It's chapter 7.9.
Yeah, share your screen.
Punyog.
Share your screen. You cannot see it yet.
Chapter 7.9. Punyo Gandha Prithviyam Cha.
Punyo Gandha
Tejaschasmi
Prithviyam Cha. Now wait for everybody to repeat.
Sure, Prabhuji. Punyo Gandha Prithviyam Cha.
Punyo Gandha Prithviyam Cha.
Tejaschasmi Vibhavasu.
Tejasyasmi Vibhavasau.
Jivanam Sarvabhuteshu.
Jivanam Sarvabhuteshu.
Tapaschasmi Tapasvishu.
Tapasyasmi Tapasvichu.
Translation. I am the original fragrance of the earth, and I am the heat in fire. I am the life of all that lives, and I am the penance of all ascetics. So punya means which is decomposed. Punya is original. Everything in the material world has certain flavor. Fragrance has a flavor, and fragrance in the flower, or in earth, in water, in fire, in air, etc. The uncontaminated flavor, the original flavor which permeates everything, is Krishna. Similarly, everything has a particular original taste, and this taste can be changed by mixture of chemicals. So everything original has some smell, some fragrance, and some taste. Vibhavasu means fire. Without fire, we cannot run factories, we cannot cook, etc. And that fire is Krishna. The heat in fire is Krishna. According to Vedic medicine, indigestion due to low temperature in belly. So even for digestion, fire is needed. In Krishna consciousness, we become aware that earth, water, fire, air, and every active principle, all chemicals and all material elements are due to Krishna. The duration of man's life also due to Krishna. Therefore, by grace of Krishna, man can prolong his life or diminish it. So Krishna conscious is active in every sphere. So in this purport, Krishna is telling to Arjuna that I am everything. So one of the aspect Krishna is telling to Arjuna is that everything is originated from him. So for example, the earth, water, everything has earth, water, fire, air, ether, etc. Everything originated from Krishna. So everything original has some smell or taste in it. So that is what Krishna is saying. Everything is coming from him. So, and Krishna is telling the fire is also Krishna. So even for to run any factories or even for cooking food, etc., fire is needed. That fire is coming from Krishna, or fire is itself Krishna. And also the heat in the fire is also Krishna. So even for digestion, fire is needed as per Ayurvedic. So that digestion in fire is called Krishna. Krishna consciousness, so in everything, presence in every atom. For example, earth, water, fire, air, everything in active, so everything present in every atom are consists of all these five material elements. So all those came from Krishna. Even for man's, for life duration life is also because of Krishna. Whether to prolong the life or diminishing the life is also because of Krishna's mercy. So basically, Krishna consciousness is active in every sphere or every atom or everywhere. That is the whole idea of this. What's Prabhuji?
Very good. Are you done?
And Prabhuji.
Okay. So please put in your scores in the chat window. Don't be shy. Go ahead. Actually, I'm going to take off one point, and the reason is, yes, you have covered all the purport, but you have not covered your point of view, right? As the speaker, you should cover what Krishna said first, what Srila Prabhupada's commentary says next, but then you are the speaker. You have the connection with your audience. So when you have the connection with your audience, people are buying you, right? You are the product. Not Prabhupada, not Krishna. You are representing Krishna and Prabhupada there. So your personal experience and realization is what people are buying. But if it looks shallow, then they'll say, oh yeah, this fellow read some books and he's giving some lecture. He doesn't have that realization. He is not convinced himself. So that conviction should come through your speech. Otherwise, you would have wasted your time. Correct?
Yes, Prabhuji.
The conviction should come. Yes, like Sahana was very, convinced that yes, we are not the body, we are the soul. So you should also be very convinced that Krishna is everything. You said Krishna is everything casually, but you did not say Krishna is everything. I see it every day in my life. Just like, whatever 7 or 8 boxes you put there, you should say, this is how I felt when I did this. This is how I felt when I said this. So you should be a good storyteller. Doesn't mean that you are, telling falsehood. No, you still tell the truth in the Bhagavad Gita, but you should tell the story in such a way that the audience will latch on to your story. Okay.
Sure, Prabhuji.
Jaypal, are you ready? Jaypal?
I'll go next week. I'll go next week, Prabhuji.
Hey, you're an expert. You're the most senior in the class. You have been coming for 5 years now.
I'll go next week, Prabhuji. I'm outside now.
Oh, okay. Okay, who wants to go next then? Deepika, do you want to give it a shot? Doesn't matter how much score you get. I know this is just your second class, but you can read a shloka and then explain what your understanding is.
No, I am not prepared yet. Next week I can give.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Anisha, you want to do one more shot? Second round?
Can I do another one next week?
Yeah, you can do next week again. Yeah, I want all of you to be trained Bhagavad Gita teachers, right? So you should teach to 5 other people, just like I'm teaching to you. You should teach to other people, right? That's the goal. It's not just like you will remain students forever. You will also become teachers at some point. Okay, so next week you can go. Good job, everyone. Now let's get to our regular class. So we went till what, 27 or something, Jaypal? Okay. No, we didn't go to 22nd because we never covered mode of ignorance. Okay, let's cover mode of ignorance. We covered passion and goodness. Okay, Bhagavad Gita 18.25, translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anubandham kshayam himsam.
Anubandham kshayam himsam.
Anapeksha cha paurusham.
Anapeksha cha paurusham.
Mohadarabhyate karma.
Mohadarabhyate karma.
Yattat tamasamuchyate.
Tattamasamuchyate.
That action performed in illusion, in disregard of scriptural injunctions and without concern for future bondage or for violence or distress caused by others is said to be in the mode of ignorance. So tamogun means, first of all, you're performing the activity in illusion. Like sports is an illusion. This whole Olympics that's going on right now. Movies are illusion. Almost anything that is not in connection with Krishna is an illusion. You may think, then the whole world is illusion. Yes, actually, that's the whole world is an illusion. Right? Even the body is an illusion. Sharira avidya jal. Jal means it's like in a web. Our body is trapped in avidya, ignorance. Sharira avidya jal. Okay. For the newcomers, let me go and tell you what this song is. Why is it not private? Where is Sharira Vidyajal? Okay, maybe I'll search differently. Okay, everybody repeat after me. Sharira Vidyajal. Jodendriya Tahe Kal. Jive Fele Vishaya Sagare. Tara Madhya Jihva Ati. Lobha Moy Shudhurmati. Take Jeta Katina Samsare. Krishna Boro Doya Moy. Kori Bare Jihva Jai. Swaprasad Annadilo Bhai.
Swaprasadana dilo bhai.
Say Annamrita Pao.
Amrita pao.
Radha Krishna Guna Gao.
Radha Krishna guna gao.
Preme Dhako Chaitanya Nitai. So what is the translation? Oh brothers, the material body is a network of ignorance, and senses are one's deadly enemies. For they so throw the soul into the ocean of material sense enjoyment. So with our body, we have senses, and senses want to enjoy the world. Eyes want to watch something. Ears want to hear something. Tongue wants to taste something. Right? In this way. Among the senses, the tongue is the most voracious. Voracious means it is like very difficult to control. Wants to eat a lot, talk a lot, and very wicked. It is very difficult to conquer the tongue in this world. Jihva. Tara madhya jihvati means within the middle of your body there is jihva. Take jeta khatina samsare. Right? So it is in the putting you into this difficult world, samsara. But Krishna baro doya moy. Krishna is very doya. Doya means merciful. Just like bada in Hindi becomes baro in Bengali. All these are Bengali songs. So Krishna baro doya moy is like very doyalu. Kori bare jihwa jai. So he has given an instrument, a weapon to conquer your jihwa or tongue. What is that? Swaprasada annadilabai. He has given remnants of his own food. So when you cook and you offer to Krishna, so that becomes bhog or naivedyam. So bhog in North India, naivedyam in South India. So that bhog, Krishna eats it and will give you prasadam. That's why, like Disha was telling the other day, we don't eat in restaurants because we don't want to eat some other person's contaminated consciousness. We cook nicely, we offer it to Krishna, and then we eat in moderation, that prasadam. So that way, our consciousness also gets purified. Why? Because he's giving remnants of his own food. When you give bhog to the Lord, he eats and he converts the balance into prasadam. Then it says, say annamrita pavo. Anna amrita. Anna means rice or food in general. Amrita means nectar. So the nectar of the rice or the offering that we made. Then you say Radha Krishna Gunagao. You are singing the glories of Radha and Krishna. Preme dakho Chaitanya Nitai. So, and in love of God, call out Chaitanya Nitai. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the incarnation of Krishna. Nityananda Prabhu Nitai is incarnation of Balaram. So, with love, you call out Chaitanya Nitai, like that. So, although our body, Sharira Avidya Jal, is a network of ignorance, by eating prasadam, we convert it into what? An instrument, a vehicle for delivery of the soul to the Supreme Lord. So this body can deliver the soul to the Supreme Lord. So body is neither good nor bad. I mean, you can use it in a bad sense, like most people are using it, but you can use it in a good sense also. Most people are like eating meat, abusing the body, drinking alcohol, right? Doing all kinds of nasty things to the body. But the body is very important because it's a vehicle to deliver your soul. But if you misuse it, you will take birth again. Maybe not in a good body, but next life it may be in a bad body. Like maybe you will be born as a some creature on the ground, crawling creature, or like a bug or something like that. So this is what it is. So in addition to this, we also sing this Mahaprasade Govinde. Mahaprasade Govinde.
Shade Govinde.
Nama Brahmani Vaishnave.
Brahmani Vaishnave.
Swalpa Punyavatam Rajan.
Svalpa Punyavatam Rajan.
Vishwaso Naiva Jayate.
Vishvaso Naiva Jayate.
So translation, O king. So the Lord is telling Yudhishthira Maharaj in Mahabharata, O king, for those who have amassed very few pious activities, their faith in Mahaprasada, in Sri Govinda, in Sri Holy Name, and in Vaishnava is never born. So if you need to have some kind of little piety to understand the potency of prasad. So if you amassed very few activities, pious activities, you cannot get that faith in prasadam. But if you amassed a lot of pious activities, then you will get the faith in Mahaprasad, in Govinda, in the holy name. So let's have that higher faith. And by eating more prasadam, your faith increases. So it's like a increasing spiral. So you eat a little prasadam, chant a little bit, faith goes up a little bit. Because the faith goes up, you will eat more prasadam, more chanting, more hearing Bhagavad Gita. Then again, it goes up a little bit. So in this way, the spiral keeps on growing. So when the spiral keeps on growing, ultimately, you'll become more and more pious. And then more and more things will make sense to you. Right now, many things that I'm talking will not make sense to you. But as your piety increases, punya, piety means in Hindi, punya. When punya increases, then automatically your ability to absorb this information also increases. Like when I first came to the temple, I didn't understand what was going on. Somebody was giving a lecture. I said, what is going on? I didn't understand a word of it. But gradually, I understood more and more and more. And now I'm teaching, right? So it's all the power or potency of the prasadam. So when you eat prasadam, it purifies your consciousness. But if you eat restaurant food regularly, then you're not moving forward, right? It's like, on one hand, you create a bonfire when you go on a picnic. On one side, you are putting the wood, you are pouring some kerosene or some combustible liquid. So fire is becoming bigger. On the other side, you are pouring water. What happens to the fire? What happens to the fire when you pour water?
It's extinguished.
Extinguished. Right? So that's what happening with our bhakti. On one hand, we are doing Bhagavad Gita classes. We are chanting Hare Krishna mantra. We are eating prasadam, although maybe not 100% prasadam, maybe 70-80% prasadam, remaining 20% some nonsense food. So, and then you're doing so many negative things like watching TV, which contaminates your consciousness. Maybe too much into sports like soccer and this and that. So it kind of slows down your progress. On one hand, you are eating prasadam. On one hand, you are chanting Hare Krishna. So you are trying to kindle the fire. So the bonfire at your picnic is becoming bigger and bigger. On the other side, you are doing all these other things. Then it's like pouring water on that fire and it slows down. So bhakti is not external. Bhakti is internal. So Srila Prabhupada wrote a book. It's also there on vedaways.com. So it is all there within you. Bhakti is already hidden within you. But because you're pouring too much water, the fire is getting dull. Yeah, this book, very small book, Bhakti, the Art of Eternal Love. Bhakti means how you develop love for God. Just like mother loves child, that is the only love on this material world. Husband's love for wife and wife's love for husband is very, very temporary actually. Because we see this, right? Then if there is so much love, then why are these divorces happening? Because that love is not really strong love. Mother's love for child is very strong, but then there is so much abortion also going on. If the love is so strong, then why are they killing their own kids in their stomach? So, yeah. I mean, if the mother gives birth to the child and takes care of the child well, that is the closest to what you can define as love. Everything else is not love. It is just some kind of emotion, feeling, that's all. So here Swami Prabhupada says, acting for Krishna is the essence of bhakti. So whatever we do, if we do it for Krishna, then that's the essence of bhakti. Like we have been looking at these various farms, trying to do some farm community, this, that. So you may say, oh, how is that connected to Krishna? It is connected to Krishna by say doing something which is connected, which will help increase your own Krishna Bhakti as well as other parties' Krishna Bhakti. That is also Bhakti, right? So that is, you are developing love towards the Lord. For the Lord, you are doing it. You are not doing it because it's just a piece of land or you can grow some crops on it. No. Any activity can be done in material consciousness or spiritual consciousness. You can buy a big piece of land, build a lot of condos, make a lot of money. That is material consciousness. You take the same piece of land, build a temple, help devotees progress in their bhakti, then that is spiritual consciousness. Same land, it costs the same amount of money, not $1 more, not $1 less, but how you use it matters. So Prabhupada says here, as soon as we say cultivation, we must refer to activity. So there has to be activity. When you're saying I'm cultivating bhakti, just like you cultivate wheat or barley, like Disha and I went and recently saw barley cultivation and barley harvesting in one of the farms, right? So we are cultivating means what? There is some activity. Some tractor is going, some cutting machine is going, some compacting machine is going. There is a forklift. You put on the truck, carry it away, right? So there is activity. Without activity, consciousness alone cannot help us. This is the problem that most devotees face, right? Like Sunday afternoon in the farm, I saw all the devotees were dancing nicely. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. After that, go home and watch TV, read a novel, So they are not cultivating. They're getting inspired, raising the consciousness for temporary 1 hour or something, but then again lowering the consciousness. So after that inspiration comes perspiration. Means you have to sweat. You have to work hard to do activity for Krishna, whatever it is. Washing dishes in the temple kitchen, clearing the floor of the temple, organizing festivals, doing flyers for the festivals, like meeting with the city. So I scheduled a meeting with the Snohomish County conservation district guy, Eric Shu. So you may say, oh, how is that connected to Krishna? It is connected to Krishna. So he will teach us, tell us, oh, you can use this land for this. Get the soil test done in this corner of the land. Do this, don't do this, right? So that you don't make mistakes, right? Government is there. It is taking taxes to help us develop our own land in the service of Krishna. So activity is important. Without activity, consciousness, this is where 90% of the devotees fail. They think this is some kind of theoretical exercise. So if you are not perspiring, you are not sweating, doing activities for Krishna, then you are not actually doing anything. So you should be doing activity, physical activity. So Prabhupada continues, all activities can be divided into two classes. One class may be for achieving a certain goal, and other may be avoiding unfavorable circumstance. In Sanskrit, these activities called pravriti or pravriti marga and nivriti or nivriti marga. Pravriti is, oh, I want to achieve certain goal. I'll work hard to make money and buy a car. Nivriti marga is, oh, if I go in that road, it is smelling bad, so I won't go in that road. Or I will not go to Seattle because it will cost me $6 in gas, so I will not go there. So very simple examples I gave you. But in spirituality, you have much more complex examples. So one is trying to achieve a goal. Second is avoiding some negative goal. For instance, a diseased person has to be cautious and take medicine in order to avoid making his illness worse. Right? So which is that? Is that pravriti or nivriti? Taking medicine. It should not take you this long. It's right there. Answer is there on the screen. Preventing negatives, nivriti. Yeah. So those who are cultivating spiritual life and executing devotional service are always engaged in activity. So if you're not engaged in activity, something is wrong with you or me. Right? We should always be engaged in activity, whether we should be planting plants for Krishna, or removing weeds for Krishna, harvesting for Krishna, cooking for Krishna, feeding for Krishna, talking about Krishna, feeding prasadam to newcomers so that they can also understand Krishna. Right? The whole thing should be for Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Right now, it's all for me, me, me. I am going to KFC to buy vegetables so that I can cook, I can eat. Right? Today, everything is around me. But that has to change to Krishna. That's why it's called Krishna consciousness. Means the consciousness of Krishna. But then what should follow is activity for Krishna. If you're not performing activity, then you are pretty much in mode of ignorance. Yeah, you're talking about Krishna, but still, technically, although it may sound strange, you can be Krishna conscious and at the same time be in the mode of ignorance because you're not working for Krishna. So you have to wake up and then act for Krishna, do something big. Right? I talked about this maybe a month and a half ago. Each one of us should do something big for Krishna. Right? Buy a piece of land, build a temple, whatever the case might be, right? Buy a food truck, give prasadam to people, preach, be dynamic, not static and dead. Actually, although you see people walking and talking around you, almost everybody is dead right now because they're not using their human body for Krishna's purpose. So it's like you are only watching zombies around you. 8 billion zombies walking on the planet. Life means you have to work for Krishna. That is life. Everything else is just you're doing something without any meaning, actually. So now you know it is not about just reading Bhagavad Gita. You have to act for Krishna. Engaged in activity. Kuch karo apne sharir se. Do something with your body. So then Prabhupada continues. What are those activities? Activities of the body, activities of the mind, and activities of speech. Right now, I'm doing activity of speech, teaching you Bhagavad Gita. Later on, you can also do activity of speech, teaching Bhagavad Gita. But then, last Sunday, I was there in the farm and I was cutting blackberry bushes. That's not easy because they're thorns. They can prick you. So that is activity of the body. And then there is activity of the mind, like chanting is an activity of the mind. Your mind is engaged. Or many other ways to engage the mind, visiting holy places, like that. So Srila Prabhupada says a Krishna conscious person engages his words. Manasa, vacha, karmana. Manasa means mind, vacha means words, karmana means physically with the body, activity, karmana. So a Krishna conscious person engages his word in preaching the glories of the Lord. This is called kirtana. So right now this class is kirtana. But then when we all sing in unison for the Lord, the Hare Krishna mantra, that is called Sankirtana. So this is a fantastic book, Bhakti, Art of Love. Only a few pages, but Prabhupada packed everything, right? All the essence. He has taken all the nice butter and paneer from the top, and then he's packed it nicely, so it's very creamy. And by his mind, a Krishna conscious person always thinks of the activities of the Lord. One of the problems with our Purushottam group is everybody is like, oh, I pray for you, you pray for me. Only prayers. Where is the activities of the Lord in there? Okay, let me do this. Let me do XYZ service. That room is very dirty in the temple. Let me go. Nobody has to tell me. I'll take a broom. Then I'll take some mop and clean that section of the temple. Nobody has to tell you. Right? If somebody has to tell you, there is a problem with that. you should be empowered, right? Feel empowered to do activities for the Lord. So when you think what happens, then you will do it. Like Stephen Covey says, 7 habits of highly effective people. What does he say? You do every activity twice in the world. Okay, what are the 2 times that you do this activity? Anybody? Everybody there or gone? Everybody there. One is, his answer is right there. One's in the mind and second by the body, right? Like, when before cooking, what do you say? Okay, today I'll make sambar, or I'll make kachori, or I'll make paratha, methi paratha, sarso da saag. So what will happen? Okay, I have to get sarso, I have to get water, I have to get hing, I'll put these things in a sequence, then that thing will come out of the stove. So first you do in the mind, then you do physically. So a Krishna conscious person is always thinking of activities of the Lord. Okay, so what about the dress for the Lord? The dress looks a little short. Maybe I should extend it. Oh, I haven't given bath to the Lord in X number of days. So maybe I should give bath, Abhishekam of my deities. Or, oh, I haven't gone to Sankirtan in like 2 years. Like Jayapal used to come to Sankirtan, but something happened. and he doesn't come anymore, right? So come and join and do something, right? And then he will say, oh, I have other services. But the whole idea is service. If you have more services, means Krishna loves you. If you have less seva, means Krishna doesn't like you that much. Because if he likes you, then he'll give you more seva, right? Just like if you are hiring a fellow to cut lawn, what is the sign that you like his services? What is the sign that you like the quality of his service?
Call him again and again.
Yes. Why did it take so long to answer? It should immediately come, boom. Because you are all engaging, right? People to cut your grass, this, that, something or the other, carpenter, plumber. So same thing with Krishna. When Krishna is like us, we are like him. If he likes you, he'll engage you again. So the sign of service is that he likes you. So if somebody says, Prabhuji, can you, cut that tree there? It is coming in the way of these spinach plants in the farm. And if you say, no, Prabhu, I have to go my son's taekwondo class. What does it mean? You have just rejected service to the Lord. So, I mean, to the extent of your capability, nobody can lift huge vessels in the kitchen. Only some people can. Although Raswati Mataji lifts all those vessels, right? She's 50 plus lady. She lifts bigger vessels than some of the men in the temple. She has muscle pain in her shoulders, but she's doing it. She's saying, this is my service to Krishna. Whatever happens to my body, I don't care. I have to serve Krishna. That's it. End of story. So activity should follow, not just say blindly, oh, I'm conscious of God. No. If you're conscious, then you have to love God. Love is not a noun. It is a verb. So what is the difference between a noun and a verb, Anisha? Did they teach you at school?
Well, a noun is a person, place, or thing.
Okay. And what is a verb? Sahana, what is a verb?
It's an action.
Did I ask you, says Dev? Ask Sahana. Oh, is she gone? Okay. Okay. Anyway, so that's correct. It's an action.
Sorry. My mic stopped working. Sorry.
Okay. So what is it? What is a verb?
Yeah, well, it's an action. Yeah.
Okay. So is love a noun or a verb?
A verb?
A verb. Yeah. What does that mean? If love is a verb, what does it mean?
You show love?
Yeah, you show love. Love is not just an emotion sitting in your heart. If your mother loves you, she'll make nice almond milk with saffron and honey. My wife makes this for her 2 kids every day. Badam kheer. Do you make that, Disha? Badam kheer? Badam
I
kheer?
know how to make rasmalai.
Yeah, rasmalai. Yeah, whatever the case might be, right? Nice things to eat. Yeah, so badam kheer, the advantage is almonds increase your brain power. You become smarter if you have almonds every day. So ask your moms to make badam, soak it in the night, in the morning, take the peel off, grind it, make it into paste, put in a vessel with milk and then saffron. Saffron is very expensive, but very good for health. And then drink badam milk every day. Priya Mataji, every day give badam milk to these 2 kids.
Okay, Prabhu.
Yeah. You have to give. I mean, otherwise, how will they grow smart? Right? So love means an action, like Sahana was saying. It is a verb. You have to love someone, means you have to do something for them. So when we say love Krishna, means we have to do something, not just theoretical. Of course, you may say that this Bhagavad Gita class is theoretical, yes. But then after this class, you should be inspired to work for Krishna. Because Krishna is a person. Don't make him a stone in the temple. No. He comes in that stone form or wood form, but Krishna is a person. And a person craves for love. And Krishna is a person, so he also craves for our love. And if you don't give love, he is very unhappy. So our duty is to make God happy. He is our great-grandfather. Pitamaha. In one of the verses it says, right, like that. He is the father, he is the mother, and he is the great-grandsire. So if you don't do activity, then it is not love. It is imagining love. Love in the brain, love in the mind. That doesn't work. You have to develop love by physical action. So therefore, the execution of Krishna conscious activities with the body should be directed by the spiritual master and then performed with faith. Like my daughter took initiation from her spiritual master, Havilas Maharaj. I took initiation from my spiritual master, Bhakti Vikas Swami. So it should be directed by a spiritual master. Like I write to my spiritual master, he gives me email back. He says, do this, don't do this. Recently I said something. He said, no, don't do that. You just assist this other devotee. Because he will also gauge your capability, right? If you say, yes, I will build a brand new $5 million temple, then the spiritual master say, Arey Baba, you are not capable of doing such a big project. You assist somebody else who is already doing it so that, at least the other person gets some help for a section. Because not everybody is like Hanuman, lifting the Mandara mountain, right? Some of us are like squirrels. So we lift a small little rock and Lord Ram is pleased with that small little rock. So Hanuman becomes very proud. Even not very proud. That's also a Leela. He says, well, how can you build this bridge with this small rock you are carrying, Mr. Squirrel? So Lord Ram says, Hanuman, I appreciate the squirrel's devotion just like your devotion. You're big, so you are able to lift big mountains. Squirrel is small, therefore it is carrying small pebbles. Both of them are serving the Lord. Oh, by the way, Darwin's theory is wrong. Sahana and Anisha, in the school, they will teach you that man came out of monkey. No. 1.7 million years ago, Lord Ram was there, monkeys were there, squirrels were there, all 8.4 million species were coexisting. How did that happen? Because these people say, oh, human beings only came recently. No. Not 1.7 million. How much is that? Yeah, it's a pretty large number. 1.7 billion years. Yeah, not million years. 1.7 billion years ago, Lord Ram did this activity. Or maybe it's million. Yeah, it is in what? Satyuga, Treta Yuga. Yeah. So, but Darwin's theory doesn't agree. They say that men came from monkeys. No, they were all coexisting. When you look at the book Ramayana, all 8.4 million species were there. They were there while Lord Ram was on the planet. They were there when Lord Ram was fighting with Ravana. They were there after that, and they're still there, or 8.4 million species. So that's what it is, sir. We need to execute the bodies with the execute the activities with the body, because you cannot just do it in your dream. Like somebody says, oh, मैं भोग लगाऊंगी भगवान कृष्ण को मन में. Then Krishna will say, अच्छा तुम खाओ प्रसाद मन में. right? If you want to offer to Krishna in the mind, your prasad will also come in the mind. There won't be real prasad on your dining table. So you have to physically do it. It's not a mankal bath, right? It has to be physical. Okay, so that was a good segue into Mahaprasade Govinde as well as Bhakti Art of Love. So why did we cover this? Most of the activities are performed in illusion. Cricket is activity in illusion. Olympics is activity in illusion. Hrithik Roshan movie is activity in illusion. Reality is you and Krishna. That's it. You have to cook nice offering, bhoga or naivedyam for the Lord and offer it to him and have nice prasadam. That is reality. How cricket is not going to help you at the time of death. Soccer is not going to help you. Nothing will help you. And then without concern for future bondage, people in the mode of ignorance, they'll say, Are, kisne dekha hai? Who has seen all these things? Kao, pio, mauj karo, eat, drink and be merry. But then with that comes karma, bondage, bandhan. Means all that negative karma will ask you to take birth again and give you a bad birth also. Not everybody will have a good birth if they misuse their body. So Maya Devi will put you in a very poor family with lot of struggles. Somebody's coming and asking you to leave your house, eviction. You don't have money to pay your medical bills. So much pain. So Maya Devi knows how to cure your disease. So she'll put you in such a situation that you will say, Arey, how did I fall into this situation? Then it's because of what I did, right? So right now we are in good families, good bodies. So let's use this. Otherwise, next life is not guaranteed. It could be in a bad body, in a bad country, maybe Somalia or someplace. Every day when you go out, you have to take care of machine gun fire. Somebody will be shooting at you. Yeah. In Somalia, there is a terrorist group called Boko Haram. They kidnapped like 150 or 160 girls and made them their slaves. Some or the other, they got rescued, and that's how the news came out. So you never know. We could be in one of those situations unless we are careful. So get serious and perform some physical activity for the Lord. It's not in the mind only. It has to be for the Lord. Okay, questions, comments? Turn on your cameras again and we'll have a discussion. So any thoughts, Deepika, Mataji?
No.
Everything makes sense or no? Nothing makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But I have one question. So sometimes what happens is we thought we have to we like to do some action, but our mind doesn't allow us to perform that at all. So what is your suggestion on what to do at that time?
We have
How
to,
to ourselves to make the activities?
yeah. So when Olympics is happening right now and people are winning gold, silver, bronze medals, they're running very fast, they're jumping very high. Do you think that happened in one day?
No, practice.
Practice, yeah. So this is also a practice. That is in Sanskrit, practice is called sadhana. Sadhana means every day you train your mind to do certain things. So mind is like a monkey. It will jump from this branch to that branch. You have to train it. Hare chop. Sit down in one place. Let's chant Hare Krishna. Okay, chop. Let's not go to that jewelry show in Seattle. Let's go to temple and wash some dishes there. Right? So our mind wants to do all these things. It's like a monkey. But then you have to discipline the monkey. You have to train it. And only you can do it. I cannot do it for you. You cannot do it for me.
Yeah.
Each one of us is an individual, right? For kids, yes. For kids, parents can force to a certain extent and train them. But once they are grown like 18, 19 years old, even then you cannot train them. So you have a very small window from 10 years to 19 years. That's it. Once they cross 19, Gaya. Gaya can't say. Like one person came to our temple he was talking to one of my friend who was a Bhagavad Gita teacher. He said, "Arey, mera beta mera baat nahi sunta hai." He was crying. And then this Prabhu said to that person, "Remember, like in 2003, 2004, I called you for these Bhagavad Gita classes?" Yes, Prabhuji. Then why did you not come? Oh, I was too busy. Now you have to pay the price. Back then when we were trying to train you, you didn't come. Now, if you cry, it is too late, right? The train has left the station. Gaadi chut gayi hai. Train has left the station. Too late. You only have a very small window, 10 to 19 years to train your kid. That's it. After that, they are no longer your kids. And if you miss the boat, you miss the boat.
Yeah.
So training is very essential. For mothers, primary duty is to train the kids. Father's primary duty is to serve Krishna.
So here I had to act as a mother to my brain.
Yeah. And if you have kids, when you have kids, eventually you'll get married and all that. So then you have to, that's your primary duty. Very difficult, believe it or not. In America, to raise kids is like almost impossible. Because kids have so much Twitter and Facebook and TikTok and so much that you are not raising the kid. Social media is raising your kids. Right? So very difficult. Very, very difficult. But you have to do it. If you don't do it, then who else will do it? So you serve Krishna by training your kids. You cook nicely, feed prasadam to your kids. Every day do 1 hour Bhagavad Gita class or Srimad Bhagavatam or something like that. Otherwise, they will not be what you want them to be. They'll be something else. And crying later is a waste of time. So that's what happened. This is a real life story in our temple in Samamish. When we asked him to come, he didn't come. And 17 years later, he's crying. So that's not our fault, right? We already offered him a solution. So if they didn't do it, they'll pay for it.
Prabhu, there's a question over here.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, you referred to Lord Krishna as a person.
Yes.
Right? So we are all also persons. So how do we differentiate?
Yeah. He is Vibhu Atma, we are Anu Atma. Anu means microscopic. Vibhu means very big. So we are all parts and parcels of Krishna. We are all originally come from Krishna only. But we are eternally separated. Just like if you're doing a bonfire, once in a while, some pieces of sparks go outside the bonfire. And they don't remain spark. They look like ash. Once in a while, one piece of ash enters the fire and again becomes red. So when the Anu Atma is in contact with Vibhu Atma, we retain our potency. When we go away, we lose our potency. We are all spiritual beings. So he is huge, Vibhu, and we are Anu.
We are part and parcel.
Part and parcel, but very small part and parcel. Very small. We are Anu. Anu cannot compete with the Vibhu. So we will never become God. We will always be a servant of God. Right? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Jivera Swarupa hoy Krishnera Nitya Das. The Swarupa of Jiva. Jiva means living entity. Nitya. Nitya means eternally. Krishna Das. Means we are servant of Krishna. Very clear. There is Krishna, there is the servant. The servant is never the master. You are always servant. That's why my name is Radhika Gopinath Das. Means I'm a servant of Radha and Radhika and Krishna.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you will never become God. You don't want to become God. You just serve God. And just like the saying goes, right? If you see a big palace, like I went to Mysore Maharaja Palace, I went to the Jaipur Palace, I went to the Lal Killa in Delhi. It's a big fort, right? King lives. But with the king, he needs 500 servants. Where do the servants live? In the fort. So when you serve the king, you are living in a 5-star hotel every day. The forts are like 5-star hotels, at least Jaipur Palace, if you go, very beautiful. So the servants are also living in the same fort. So it's better to be a servant of Krishna and live in the spiritual world than live on Mercer Island away from Krishna. Or in Sammamish, or in Redmond, or Bellevue, right? Think about it. You know, the king's servant lives in the same fort. He's getting the same facilities because he's serving the king. The day he says, "Are, why should I serve you, Mr. King?" the king will say, "Get out." And then this fellow will go outside to Bombay, Dharavi, and the slum. He has to live in a slum now. So better live with the king in a nice home. So better live with Krishna as his servant rather than being a master in a slum.
One more question. So, say if I have some anger or something like that, anger or hatred like this. So, what if I train my mind to be calm and to have love for everyone? So, will that be possible to that it can change these qualities from the negative to the positive things?
It is possible, but very difficult if you do it on your own. Better thing to do is do every activity for Krishna, just like Hanuman got very angry. But he used his anger in service of Ram. What did he do? He burned the entire Lanka. What did Lord Ram ask him to do? Go and find out where Sita is. What did Hanuman do? He burned the entire Lanka. Right? He exceeded expectations. So, because he's very angry, he saw he was very angry. How can Ravana do this to Sita? How dare he does it? So Lord Ram didn't ask him to burn Lanka, but he exceeded expectations and he burned the entire Lanka and came back. Right? So you apply anger in service of the Lord. Right? So suppose you are angry. You make 300 rasgullas and feed Krishna. Use your anger in making more rasgullas, for example. You are from Bengal originally?
No, I am from Andhra.
Andhra? Okay. Because Bengalis, they make rasgullas. So, yeah. So you make more, what? Khaza or gulab jamun and then feed Krishna. So you can apply, if you're angry at your mother-in-law, then cook even more. And mother-in-law think, Karesh, I thought she was angry with me. She's working even harder now. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like that. So apply anger in Krishna's service. You can apply everything in Krishna's service. You cannot apply laziness in Krishna's service. You have to get out of laziness and activity. You have to act for Krishna, right?
Yeah.
So that's how it is. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. So next week we'll have Deepika, Jaipal, Disha, and Sheshadev make their presentations. Okay. And if there is time, we'll go Anisha round 2. And what about Devesh? You want to make presentation to Devesh?
I already made my presentation.
Yeah.
No, not Anisha. Devesh.
And yes.
Okay, you made your
Yeah.
present. You have to speak.
That's,
Yeah, you have to speak, right?
when will you give your presentation? Prabhu is asking. You
Next
made-
week.
Next week. Okay, good. So we have
Next
six. We have 5 speakers, and
So
Anisha can
Prabhu
do.
from Disha, so Prabhu from Disha's household, Devesh is going to do the presentation. Done.
No, no. Every soul is individual, right? This life, you are mother of Devesh. Next year, you will be daughter to Devesh. Next life.
Mm.
Hmm?
Next slide.
Mhm.
So you never know, or maybe granddaughter to Devesh, right? So every soul is individual. No, don't escape like that. You have to make a presentation. Because each one of you is a teacher now. This is teacher training course. So each one of you should become a teacher. Then Priya Mataji should do. Then so many other people should do, right? And then Girish should do. Where is Girish, by the way?
He is upstairs in the quarantine room with Anisha.
Okay, okay. Okay, see you all next week. I hope to see your presentations. Good job for the 2 people who did today, and more to come. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.